trying to say that in order to get the UK Parliament to vote through a deal, because the EU isn't exactly delighted at the idea of opening these negotiations.
Well, Alex Stojanovic is from the Institute for Government and joins me now. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Will he get it through? Let's cut to the chase, shall we?
I think it'll be extremely tight. Some people say yes, just. Some people say no, just. What he's got to do is combine or build a coalition of the harder levers, the ERGers, and Labour levers. But they obviously want completely different future relationships, so it's going to be very difficult to get them together, particularly when the Democratic Unionist Party have said that they aren't going to vote for the deal. It is still possible, but it's going to be very tight.
To help me to understand this, Alex, there's lots of people who said it's all bright and incredibly kind of in-tune people like you. Yet I just do basic maths, which is that we start from -45. So how does he get it any further than Mrs. May didn't?
Well, I think the big thing is you have the 28 ERGers who voted against the deal. There are some good reasons why they might vote for the deal from their perspective.
Not all of them. Many of them have said, or some of them have said, they're going to stick with the DUPs and however they've heard, haven't they?
I think it's some of them. I am not sure. I haven't heard any one of them saying that specifically, but of course it's possible. They have so far stuck with the DUP, but the problem that they've got is that if they don't vote for this deal, then it almost certainly will lead to an extension, and then that could be a long extension, which would then lead to a general election in which they're probably relying on the current Prime Minister to win again. So the problem for them is they do have a choice here. They could get Brexit. They could have a lot of what they want in terms of the ultimate future relationship, or they could end up in quite an unpredictable extension where the actual fact of Brexit is still in play.
Can I ask you just fundamental question that I've been looking at through the evening and I can't answer, which is why you're on here, really. Is the deal, the Johnson, as some will call it, surrender, any better than the May surrender? It
completely depends on your perspective. From a Brexiteer perspective, particularly from the ERG perspective, this deal is better in quite a few ways. For example, it's dropped the UK-wide customs union. Now, that was in place because it would have meant that there would have been fewer checks and controls between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. There are still going to be some checks and controls.
Well, now you've got a border in the Irish Sea, so.
Yes, but what you do have is the ability to sign free trade agreements, and Northern Ireland would, although it's quite a convoluted process by which they do this, they would be included in those deals, and that is a victory for the government. That is one of their main objectives. So from their perspective, it's good. From the perspective of Labour, I mean, they argue that it doesn't include some of the protections on the environment. I mean, the government would say in response to that that's because that's going to be dealt with in the future relationship. The only reason it was dealt with previously is because they had a customs union, but that's dropped, so there's no reason to have those provisions in there now. But nonetheless, for Labour, it does seem like we're going to be moving towards a more distant relationship, and for those Labour leaders that do want to leave, they still want a close relationship with the EU, so that is definitely worse for them. Is it worse for Northern Ireland? Well,
they think it is, which is really what's important. It almost doesn't matter what we think in London. They think it is, and that's what's fundamental here, isn't it?
Well, I think we need to distinguish between, the Democratic Unionist Party. There are other, obviously, political parties, Sinn Féin, that don't take their seats in Parliament. There are other voices in Northern Ireland. I think you'd say, if you're comparing this to no deal, it broadly does ensure there wouldn't be a border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, so it's a lot better than no deal. The problem is that, yes, it would mean that there would be increased checks between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the deal that Theresa May was heading for was softer, and it would have meant there would have been less difference between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. Under this approach, there probably is going to be more divergence, and that's the problem.
I need you to put it on the line for me now, Alex, please.
I'll try.
What's going to happen to it?
I can't. It's impossible to say. It's too close to call, I'm sorry. I know you're looking
you didn't try very hard, did you? You're a disappointment to me, Alex, and we'll have you back on the show again. Thank you very much. Alex Stoyanovich there telling us from his perspective, he can't tell, it's difficult, which makes it so exciting and so disappointing and so boring and so fantastic, all the things, because it looks like one way or another we're going to be clearer about the uncertainty tomorrow. 0800 731 2000 if you'd like to put it on the line. Now, look, Sainsbury's has become the first major supermarket to stop selling firework at its 2,300 stores across the UK. They say they made a decision following a regular yearly review of products. A petition to ban public sale of fireworks protects animals, children and people with phobia. It has attracted more than 300,000 signatories, and pet owners welcome Sainsbury's decision, with many tweeting that other supermarkets should follow suit. Whichever supermarket you use, should they do it? What do you think they get out of this? Are you backing the decision, or is it ridiculous? 0800 731 2000. Text 81333 and start your message with the word London. Keith, I'm coming first. I just got to check out Billy.
Thank you very much indeed.